Before we dive in, a quick ask. Over 90% of our viewers haven't subscribed yet. If you enjoy real stories told raw and unfiltered, hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you never miss a moment. And tell us, where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments below. Beach balloon. I used to think love was all about stability. Not roses, grand gestures, or moonlit walks on the beach, but the quiet, steady things. The showing up. The consistency. The being there when it mattered. My husband Liam was all of that. Steady. Soft-spoken. A man who didn't shake, even when life did. He worked as an accountant, precise, dependable, the kind of person others leaned on. Because he never leaned on anyone. In the beginning it felt like enough. We had a modest but cozy home tucked in a quiet neighborhood. No white picket fence, but close enough. We weren't born into wealth or legacy. Just two ordinary people trying to build something real. I used to work in marketing and I was good at it. But not long after we got married, I told Liam I needed a break. Just a few months to reset and figure things out. He didn't question it. He made enough to carry us and said supporting me made him feel proud. What was meant to be a short pause became permanent. I got used to quiet mornings, gym classes, coffee dates with friends. And Liam never pushed. He just kept going. Kept providing. Kept being the same calm, unshakable man I married. But somewhere along the way, something in me shifted. It was subtle. Like waking up to find the furniture in the room slightly moved. Just enough to make you feel off balance. I began scrolling my phone more, tuning Liam out when he talked. I went to the gym more, not just for fitness but for a sense of me again. Something untouched by wifehood. Something mine. And that's where I met Randy. Trainer. Confident. Charismatic. The kind of man who held eye contact like it was a dare. First it was harmless. Playful banter. An extra stretch. Few jokes. But soon the texts started. And then they weren't just about workouts anymore. I didn't plan for it to go that far. But when you're starving, for passion, for attention, for the feeling of being seen, you start justifying things you once swore you'd never do. The first time we kissed there was no guilt. Just heat. And when it went further, became physical, it felt like a switch flipped inside me. Like some other version of me had taken control. I told myself it wouldn't last. That it was just a phase. An escape from a life that had started to feel like a spreadsheet. Organized, neat, lifeless. But Randy made me feel alive. And I wasn't ready to let that go. Of course, secrets don't stay hidden forever. The more I lied, the more Liam noticed. He didn't yell. He never accused. Just quiet observations. Small pointed questions. A disappointed glance that cut deeper than any argument could. One night we were sitting on the couch. Some documentary played in the background. I wasn't watching. I was texting Randy under a pillow. Liam turned to me and said gently, "You okay? You've seemed far away lately." Smiled. Practice. Weep. Tired. Just got a lot on my mind. Anything you want to talk about? Pause. Not because I didn't want to. But because I knew if I started, the whole thing would unravel. Not everything has to be a deep talk, I replied. I'm allowed an off day. He nodded. Didn't push. But the air between us changed. Suddenly wide and echoing, like we were sitting on opposite sides of a canyon. Then came the night everything broke. I just stepped out of the shower, towel wrapped around me, humming something random. And there he was, standing in the kitchen, my phone in his hand, face unreadable. "You want to explain this?" he asked, holding the screen up. Froze. The last message from Randy lit up like a flare. "Can't wait to feel you again tomorrow, babe." There was no talking my way out of that. "Oh my God, Liam, it's not what you think," I blurted too quickly. He didn't yell. Didn't cry. He just scrolled, calm, methodical, reading the messages like a prosecutor laying out evidence. still thinking about that night in the shower. That picture made my whole day. With each word I crumbled, until finally I said it out loud. I want a divorce. No tears, no begging, just clarity. I've been unhappy, Liam. For a long time. I fell for Randy. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm leaving. He looked at me like I was a stranger. I turned to go. Still damp, still half-dressed, I said. We need to talk about splitting everything, the house, the savings. I want half. Silence. You want half. Yes. I gave up my career for yours, I said, pulling on leggings like we were discussing dinner plans. I kept this house running. I made sacrifices. That has value. He didn't argue, just stared, like he was recalculating everything. Our past, our love, our future, on the spot. I never asked you to give anything up, he said quietly. You wanted the break. Doesn't change the facts, I said. We built this together. He nodded slowly, as if something had finally clicked. Like he was watching the woman he married disappear right in front of him. Then he said something I didn't expect. Okay, he said. If you want a divorce, fine. I'm not going to fight you. Blinked. Wait, seriously. You think you'll be happier with Randy? Go, he said. You can have half of what I've got. And just like that, the power shifted. I'd expected shouting, drama, blame. Instead, Liam stood there, unmoved, unshaken, like none of it had reached him. Glad you're being mature about this, I said. He gave a faint smile. Mature, he echoed. And in that smile there was no sadness, no bitterness, just knowing. He poured himself a glass of water. We'll go through it together. Mediation is probably best. Less messy. Agreed, I replied, pulling out my phone to look up attorneys. I already had someone in mind. A sharp, stylish woman downtown with a reputation for getting results. I was ready to take what I believed I deserved. What I didn't know, what I had absolutely no clue about, was that Liam had already played this game long before I ever stepped foot in that gym. Because Liam didn't just survive storms. He planned for them. And I was about to learn just how silent a storm could be before it swallowed you whole. We sat in that polished office, her attorney flipping page after page, slowly realizing what wasn't there. The house. Not in her name. The savings. Part of a managed portfolio. Tied up in a trust under my father's name. Even the car she loved taking to brunch and yoga. Leased through my business. Returned the same week she left. I watched her eyes widen, then narrow, then blink like maybe she missed a page. This can't be everything, she said, not to me, but to her lawyer. He read through the papers again, slower this time. Adjusted his glasses. It appears to be correct. But the house, she said, voice tightening. We live there. That's our house. My lawyer answered before I had to. Actually, it's owned by a private trust established before the marriage. The deed was never jointly held. Mr. Rain's father has maintained ownership since acquisition. There's a clear paper trail. Her attorney looked at me. Did she contribute to the mortgage? I shook my head. Paid off years ago. My dad gifted it when I got promoted. She didn't say anything at first. Just pressed her lips into a line. But I live there. I helped maintain it. That counts for something, right? Her voice cracked, not with grief but disbelief. Like she just found out the rules she thought she was playing by didn't apply here. My lawyer stayed calm. There's certainly value in domestic contributions, but in this case, there's no legal basis for shared ownership. No financial input. No name on any deed. No claim. The room went still. I didn't gloat. Didn't smirk. I just let the silence do what words couldn't. Her lawyer tried to pivot. What about alimony? Brittany left her career to support the marriage. My lawyer didn't miss a beat. There's no documentation showing that was requested, required, or conditional. Mr. Rains provided voluntarily. No children. No medical complications. No formal agreement. That doesn't establish entitlement. I saw it in her face. A tiny flinch, like she was bracing for something she'd never thought she'd feel. Consequence. I remembered that night in our bedroom. How she pulled on her leggings and told me she deserved something. But truth is, pretend sacrifices don't earn real equity. Not when the math doesn't lie. The meeting ended quietly. She didn't say goodbye. Just walked out. And that was the start of the unraveling. Not a dramatic fall. More like a slow leak. The kind that soaks in before you realize you're sinking. I moved out for a bit. Crashed at my brother's. Needed space from the echo of someone who used to hum in the shower while texting another man. About 3 weeks in, the calls started. Soft at first. Hey, just checking in, how are you? I didn't answer. Then text. I'm thinking about things. About us. Still nothing. Eventually, I was confused. Angry. I didn't handle it right. Can we just talk? I didn't block her. I wanted her to keep trying. For once, she was chasing something that was already gone. And then one day I came home and there she was. Sitting on my brother's porch. Arms wrapped around herself like the cold had finally seeped in. You're not answering, she said. I know. I made a mistake. I stared at her. Which one? Sleeping with someone else. Lying about it. Or thinking you could burn a marriage down and still walk away with half the ashes. She winced. You don't have to be cruel. I'm not. I'm just being honest. Something you didn't give me when it mattered. We stood there, surrounded by silence. Not tension, just finality. I thought you'd fight for me, she whispered. That stopped me, not because it hurt, but because of what it revealed. You wanted me to beg. No, just something. I shook my head. Brittany, you left before I even knew there was a fight. You were gone before you packed a single bag. She looked up, eyes searching mine. I didn't love him. I believe you, I said. You loved how he made you feel. That's not the same. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Finally. I didn't expect you to be this cold. I'm not cold, I said, glancing at the quiet street behind her. I'm done. She didn't come back after that. Not physically, anyway. But the messages lingered. Memory. Photo from 2 years ago. Little breadcrumbs of the version of her she thought I still missed. But I didn't. I missed the idea of her. The version I thought was real. Once I let that go, I realized I hadn't lost anything worth keeping. The divorce finalized quietly. She walked away with what she came in with. A small savings account. Low. Car I'd already paid off. No alimony. No share of the house. No stake in my assets. I moved back in. Repainted. Got a dog. Started running in the mornings again. Funny thing, people assume betrayal leaves you bitter. Like every morning, you'll wake up choking on resentment. But not me. I woke up grateful. Because I dodged a lifetime with someone who rehearsed her exit while still pretending to hold my hand. I never aired it out online. No angry post. No revenge. Because the truth. You don't win by tearing someone down. You win by walking away. Dignity intact, and letting the truth stand on its own. She wanted fireworks. Passion. Someone who whispered sweet things and made her feel alive. But that life. It burns hot and fast. And leaves ashes where stability used to live. As for me, I don't look back. Peace doesn't beg to be heard. Just exists. And that's where I live now. In a home that no longer feels haunted. In a bed that no longer feels shared. In a life that finally, fully feels mine. A year passed. Seasons rolled over without much fanfare. Just steady mornings, quiet dinners. A peace I never realized I was missing until I finally had it. And one afternoon I got her last message. Just 5 words. I hope you're doing well. I didn't reply. She was finally quiet. And so was I. But for the first time that silence felt like freedom. I didn't reply. Not out of anger. Just because there was nothing left to say. She had become a closed chapter. A story no longer written in the present tense. That was the last I ever heard from her. And yet, life didn't just go on. It blossomed quietly in places I hadn't thought to look. Started with small things. Cooking for myself again, really cooking. Not heating up leftovers or ordering whatever she used to like, but choosing recipes. Feeling the rhythm of the kitchen, letting the scent of garlic and spice fill a space that finally felt mine. I bought plants. Not out of need, but because I wanted something alive in the house again. Green, growing, rooted. I reconnected with old friends. The ones I hadn't realized I'd drifted from. The kind of people who knew me before I got used to tiptoeing around someone else's moods, silences, and shifting emotional weather. It wasn't healing from heartbreak. It was something deeper. It was remembering who I was before I shrank myself to fit inside someone else's emptiness. Then one day a letter arrived. Not a text. Not an email. Real letter. Neat cursive. Pale blue paper. It was from Megan, Brittany's sister. We were never particularly close, but she'd always been kind. The note was short. She wanted me to know that Brittany and the man she'd left me for had ended things. Apparently, he wasn't who she thought he was. I think she's learning the hard way that chasing excitement doesn't always lead to happiness, Megan wrote. And when I finished reading, felt nothing. Not vindication. Not pity. Just clarity. Brittany had built her world around attention. She needed it the way some people need air. And when the thrill wore off, she looked around and realized she'd lit fire to a life she couldn't rebuild. That's the thing about burning bridges. You don't always get to cross back over them. I didn't write back. It wasn't mine to carry anymore. Few months passed. I was in line for coffee one afternoon when I saw someone I hadn't expected. Emily. We'd met years ago before Brittany. Back then I wasn't ready. I was chasing ambition, obsessed with building something and too distracted to see the someone right in front of me. She was sitting alone, reading. Looked up, smiled like time hadn't passed at all. Hey, stranger. We talked for hours. Not about what was or what went wrong, but about life. Music. How underrated quiet Sunday mornings are. She never asked about Brittany, and I never brought it up. I learned she'd opened a boutique downtown. She lit up when she spoke about it. The kind of glow that doesn't come from attention, but from purpose. We exchanged numbers. No games. No hesitation. Things unfolded naturally. Slowly. Gently. No pressure. Just presence. With Emily, everything felt intentional. Conversations had weight. Silences weren't uncomfortable. They were calm, welcome. She didn't try to fix my past. She just made space for it. Let me open it piece by piece on my own time. One evening, sitting on my back porch watching the sky melt into twilight, I told her everything. Not out of pain, but because I wanted her to know. When I finished, she looked at me, eyes soft and steady, and said, "You didn't deserve that. But maybe it led you here." And maybe it did. Sometimes the hardest chapters are just prologues to the pages we were always meant to reach. I never saw Brittany again. I heard she moved out of state. Fresh start, maybe. I don't blame her. I hope she finds what she's been chasing. But as for me, I stopped chasing altogether. I started choosing. Choosing people who choose me back. Choosing presence over performance. Choosing peace over chaos. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to tell the world what happened. I just needed to remember who I was before I mistook loyalty for love. And now, most mornings, I wake up to a house that doesn't echo with someone else's absence. A bed that feels full, even with just the quiet presence of peace. A version of myself I finally recognize and respect. That's the real victory. Not just moving on, but moving forward. Not finding someone new, but finding someone real. And most of all, realizing that the man I became in the aftermath is stronger, softer, and far more whole than the one who stayed silent for too long. One evening, as the last light faded through the window, Emily rested her head on my shoulder, our laughter still lingering from something simple. And in that moment I realized the past no longer owned me. I didn't just survive the heartbreak. I outgrew it. What about you? If you were in my shoes, would you have responded to that final message? Do you think forgiveness is possible after a betrayal that deep? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story moved you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more real, raw, and reflective stories just like this one. Until next time, stay grounded, stay honest, and remember, peace isn't loud. It's just waiting for you to stop chasing what was never meant to stay.